Welcome back everybody, I'm your teacher Cicero Maha, and let's talk about comparisons, okay? A common mistake in English is whenever we have to use as or like, right? We all know deep inside that they talk about comparisons, but when do we actually use like and when do we actually use as? Okay, so let's take a look at some examples here, okay? Now you are an advanced English student, okay? So by now, your doubts are getting more sophisticated, right? So let's take a look at that, okay? As or like. Okay, let's start with like. Okay, we can use the preposition like to compare two things, appearance or behavior. Okay, for example, she's got a headache like me. Okay, or that house looks like a castle. Okay, so that house is not a castle, okay, but she is as beautiful as a castle is. Okay, so you can use like in that situation, but of course this is not the verb like, this is like a conjunction, okay, so it connects sentences, connects ideas, okay, so that house looks like a castle. Okay, pay attention to that use of like, looks like. Okay, so when you are physically similar to somebody, you can say you look like. Okay, everybody knows I look like Thiago Lacerda, right? Yes, that's it. I hear that all the time. Who do you look like? Do you look like a famous person? Okay, probably you look like either your mother or your father, right? For obvious reasons. Okay, or you can use like for in the indirect order. Okay, so for example, like the other students, he struggles to get lectures early in the morning. Okay, so it's a comparison, but it could be either used for appearance or when you want to compare some actions, right? There you go, that's it. Whenever we use as, probably you will see as being used as a comparison, but not a direct comparison. It's when you talk about a position or a job that someone is applying, right? So for example, he worked for a long time as a teacher in Africa. Okay, so imagine that you are using, instead of as, you're using like. So he worked for a long time like a teacher. Okay, you are not actually saying that the person was a teacher at some point. You are saying that the way he worked, or she, yes, that's actually he, the way the person worked was similar to the way a teacher worked. Okay, so that's not the idea you want to apply in that sentence. So that's why you use as you apply a position, right? Or you give that person a use. Okay, so he worked for a long time as a teacher in Africa. Okay, we also use as a noun, with a noun, okay, to refer to the role or purpose of a person or thing, okay? So when you are applying something as a tool, okay, so for example, I can use this remote control, okay, as a tool to scratch my back, okay? I don't know if you can see, but I'm using that remote control as a tool to scratch my back. Okay, that's it. So I'm using as a tool. Okay, so whenever you have that idea, use as. You never use like. Okay, that's not correct. I use the knife as a fork screw to open the bottle. Okay, a knife is not something that you would normally use as to open a bottle. Okay, but eventually you need it, right? There you go. Moving on. Okay, the conjunctions as and like have the same meanings when used in comparisons. Okay, especially when comparisons are between sentences. Okay, so for example, nobody understands him as I do. Okay, that's the same thing as saying nobody understands him as I understand him. Okay, so whenever you have like sentences being compared, you can use as or like. Okay, of course, this is more vivid whenever we were talking about American English, because in the British English, as and like are very switchable. Okay, you can use both more often than in American English, right? Okay, nobody understands him like I do. Okay, and of course you have the expression as if. Okay, so it's the same meaning, but when you apply if, you turn the idea into an imaginary thing, right? So for example, she talked to me as if she didn't know me. Okay, so of course you assume that she knows you, and you are certain about that, but the way she talked to you, it made you feel that she didn't know you, right? So you can use that as if, como si. Okay, she talked to me as if she didn't know me. She ran away as if ghosts were chasing her. Okay, that's nice. Como se fantasmas perseguissem ela, right? That's great. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the expressions to figure out. Very important. Try to use it all the time, because that is much more common to be used than I don't know, maybe a more formal verb like discover, right? So for example, let's figure out a way to make money. Okay, figure out is when you find a way out. You discover a new way, right? You invent something, a new way of doing something, right? So let's figure out, let's think of something new, a way out, right? Let's figure out a way to make more money, people. Okay, handouts. Okay, of course, I think this is familiar to us by now, right? Handout is the act of distributing some flyers. Okay, this happens a lot. This is an election year, right? So probably you'll see a lot of people handing out flyers. Okay, so prepare yourselves, right? Next one is be aware of. Okay, be aware of, we all know that it means like to be aware of something, to be conscious about something, to know about something. Okay, we are aware of all the changes in the contract. So they know about the contract. They've been warned. They've been told. They know what the changes are. Okay, so when you are conscious over something, you are aware of something. And then we have to get and be in trouble. Okay, another collocation, right? You have to use get whenever you have trouble, or either be. Okay, she got into trouble with the police again. Okay, that's not something smart to do, right? But you can also, she was in trouble with the police. You can use that. Okay, there you go. These expressions are great. We already seen some of these before. Okay, so this is nothing too new for you, right? And that's it. I hope you are speaking a lot by now. Okay, but because you're pretty much like a native, right? And that's it. I am, of course, Teacher Ma, and I see you next time.